So, hello everyone, and welcome again to the Muhombo Live. And today we are going to discuss with my guest, Mr. Daniel Mugume. Welcome, Baba.
Today, abroad.
Daniel abroad. all right. Today we are going to discuss about the influence of Mahatma Gandhi to Africa, and he has a good knowledge about that, and we are going to discuss about it.
Another culture to learn.
Another place to know. Learn from the other side of the world.
Know about the other life.
With Muhombo Live.
So, welcome back to the Muhombo Live, and as I told you first, we are going to discuss today about the influence of Mahatma Gandhi in Africa. He's someone who is known all over the world for his method of peace, and like many people learned actually from him that method of peace, and it had a result. But for the case of Africa, and like especially to black people, how did he impact Africa? So I'm going to discuss that today with Mr. Daniel Abroad, not Daniel Mugume. So Mr. Daniel Abroad, how did you know Mahatma Gandhi before coming to India?
I knew about Mahatma Gandhi before coming to India in my studies at school.
Like history class?
Yeah, history class basically.
Like, were you doing your own studies or history class?
My own studies, because
you learned about him personally before?
Personally, because we don't study about Indian history.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so I knew him personally in my own researches, I guess.
Okay, I think for me it's a little bit different. I knew him first before even before doing my own research. I knew him from school. I don't remember which topic exactly we were studying. It was not the Indian history, but there was just a part where they taught us about Mahatma Gandhi in history at school. But then my interest on the Mahatma Gandhi stuff actually grew when I was already here. Like, we used to know that Mahatma Gandhi is a certain Indian guy who brought peace, but I never had that time of saying that I should learn personally about him. And since when you came to India, did your perception or your studies about Mahatma Gandhi change or increase, or get anything which changed over it?
My perception to what I had didn't change. I just my knowledge just increased about what I knew about him. I only added on what I didn't know about him before, and my perception didn't change at all.
All right. That's a good thing. Okay, so meaning the perception which you had before, how was it? Like, how did you know him before?
Like, I knew him as a person who brought, who influenced basically people in South Africa to fight for their own rights through the method of non-violence.
Yeah.
And also as one of the people who majorly helped India to get independence.
Yeah, exactly.
And
to reunite.
Lead a non-violent revolution against the whites.
But then, okay, as we already said about this before, how did he help black people? Not directly, but in many ways. From what you know, how did Mahatma Gandhi help black people?
I can say I know, or maybe of two ways. Like, when he was in South Africa as a lawyer, he helped black people that they could fight for their own rights through non-violence. Because basically, when he was also in South Africa, he was fighting for the rights of Indians who are in South Africa. Indians who are taken in South Africa. So he helped people like Nelson Mandela, and Nelson Mandela once wrote in one of his books regarding him as a role model. Helped him fight for the rights of blacks in South Africa, and through the method of non-violence, even though it took him a long time to adjust that method. And then also he created, I don't remember the name very well, but it was some kind of like Red Cross. Him and
rescuing people.
Rescuing people in the Anglo Boer Wars.
Okay. Oh, that's a good thing. And is it only you have spoke about South Africa or black? I think it's look like it's South Africa only which he had an impact on.
He only went to South Africa.
Okay, like I mean, when I asked the question, like what I wanted to know is his impact not only to where he went, but even more than that, like people who maybe learned from him and then they got results of other things. You mentioned Nelson Mandela, yeah, but are there also other people who learned from him and they had a good impact on like they had good result on things which they learned from Mahatma Gandhi?
Yeah, most people who learned
Like
from
especially
him,
I'm talking about black.
yeah, most people who learned from him were black Americans,
Mm.
like the Malcolm X and Benjamin Mays and Martin Luther King and even more.
Mm.
Yeah, so like most people who learned from him and gained his knowledge for fight for the civil rights of blacks in America
Yeah.
are blacks, and some of them also visited India and visited one of the places in which he launched his non-violence philosophy.
Mm.
From one of his houses in Mumbai,
Mm.
in which also Martin Luther King got a chance to visit, and also he spent the night there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that means he really had a huge impact. If Martin Luther King, the power he had in America, if he could live there and come and learn from him, it shows that at least
Yeah, because it also took Martin Luther King. It wasn't easy for him to accept like non-violence could work. So he came here to learn from his teachers, Mahatma Gandhi's followers.
Yeah.
And it was very hard for him to accept that non-violence could work.
I think I should learn about that also.
Yeah, because like even now, up to now, when you think about it,
yeah, sure.
It's very hard to accept that
Exactly.
it works. But anyway, he later learned and he accepted that non-violence works, and in one of his meetings he had with Africans who were studying in India by that time.
They were Africans were studying in India at that time.
Yeah,
so I'm not the first.
So like they were trying to tell him that non-violence doesn't work, and Martin Luther King was defending Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy, saying that non-violence works and that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right, that's a good thing. But then leaving, for example, the case of South Africa, which you already mentioned, is there any other nation or is there any other way you know that his method of non-violence helped Africa?
I don't really know of that very well.
Like, okay, when I asked this question, the thing which pushed me to ask about it is, okay, I know that in Africa, we are so many of us who learned about Mahatma Gandhi before, like, without knowing about him. And it shows that he has a value or something special which he brought. And especially as you even say that you even reached the level of going to learn about him personally. So it shows that there is a value which is behind him. So it means that everything you knew about him was basically outside of even your country. Like you never knew any action which could be related to him in your country.
Well, the influence which he exerted in Africa, I can say it's basically the same influence that he exerted in the whole world, whereby protests nowadays, they are more of like peaceful protests because of his philosophy.
Sure.
And that's why like mostly people who learn from him and people who organize protests, they are organized according to the non-violence philosophy.
Sure.
That's how he has influenced most Africans and to do peaceful protests for fight for their own rights.
I have seen that also. And in fact, I strongly believe that as you even said that it can take long time to work with that non-violence method, but it surely work. I remember there is a group in my country of people who do those pacific protests. They work exactly the same way. They go to jail. Sometimes even unfortunately some can even die and being persecuted and other things. But still they do all their things, and it shows that it already has an impact and people actually believe in it.
Even Gandhi was arrested multiple times in South Africa, even here in India.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so it means that influence of Mahatma Gandhi is still even until now.
Yeah, it's still even up to now, and of course, for even generations to come.
Yeah, of course, that's a good thing. So in everything, like you say that you personally learned about Mahatma Gandhi before even coming here, and actually I've seen even you even traveled to go to the place where he was born, and like you just have a general knowledge about him. So what is your conclusion over everything you learned about him? Is he right with his philosophy of non-violence, or is there anything more he has than that non-violence philosophy?
Of course, he's right with the non-violence philosophy, because he also had influences basically from one American guy called Henry David Thoreau. He's the one who started the non-violence philosophy, when he realized one day that actually when you refuse to coordinate with the government, when the government is not providing to what it promises, what's supposed to give you, and you refuse to pay taxes and such, and you get a group of people to refuse to cooperate with the government, the government, without creating any violence, the government starts to adjust in its ways. Even like Kevin David Thoreau was also arrested once, and even wrote a book about his life and how he came up with all that. So a combination of the influence of Henry David Thoreau and also the Ahimsa philosophy of India, those were the influences of Gandhi, and they have proven to work even throughout the world. Even now, there are even countries that have used that. Like, I think one of the countries in the Soviet Union used that. It is called something, the line of something, I've forgotten the name. And non-violence really works, but it needs patience.
Yeah, exactly. And is there anything which Mahatma Gandhi is known for, like which you know personally, outside of the non-violence method?
No, I can't say there is anything, because he was a politician, and so that's what he's known for.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Yeah, one of the other things which until now I don't really understand why he was doing it, but okay, I just think it was, maybe I'm going to explain it later on. There is something which I wonder why Mahatma Gandhi was doing that, is that if you look at his pictures and at how he was before he comes to India, he could be in suits, like the pictures of him in suits and other stuff. But when he came to India and when he was doing his protest and all other things, I strongly believe he had a good position of being a leader. But something which I usually like don't understand, and like it's really amazed me, is his dressing.
I also don't know why.
Like the guy had just simple stuff, and like most of, even I remember like the statue which is here in Baroda, like he's like he doesn't have anything on top, and he's just so simple, very simple body, very simple person with these small glasses. And I think I even saw pictures of the place where he used to stay in Ahmedabad for his meditation and stuff. Just one small bed and his stuff which he used to use for very simple. Like that is one of the things which I don't know if I can say it's out of the non-violence philosophy, but it's inspired me, and I was like, wow, it's something great. Someone who has who understands the simplicity of life to that extent, even though he had so many titles. I don't know if I can say so. Okay, so thank you so much for everything. Yeah, and I'm sure, okay, me, I didn't know so many things about him, and I'm sure it's going to help someone else who is watching this. And thank you so much for watching the Muhombo Live. There is a lot which we can learn from each culture. And as today we wanted to learn about Mahatma Gandhi from here in India, tomorrow we're going to learn again about something else. So thank you so much for being here. Catch you in the next video.